She is the GOAT of music. She lent her voice and
What
music by
happens
narrating
when an
and
Olympic
introducing-
champion steps onto a music stage, not to compete, but to crown a global icon? On a night built for stars, something unexpected happened. Two worlds collided, and for a brief moment, the lines between sport, music, and legacy completely disappeared. This is the story of how Alysa Liu walked on to one of the biggest stages in entertainment to honor Taylor Swift at the 2026 iHeartRadio Music Awards. But this wasn't just an award presentation, it was something much bigger. Because just weeks earlier, Alysa Liu wasn't standing under stage lights, she was standing on Olympic ice. At just 20 years old, Alysa Liu had already rewritten the narrative of American figure skating. From a young prodigy landing impossible jumps, to walking away from the sport at her peak, to returning with a mindset no one saw coming. Why would someone step away from everything only to come back stronger? That question followed her all the way to the Olympic stage, where she didn't just compete, she won. And suddenly, she wasn't just an athlete, she became a symbol of reinvention. But here's where the story takes a turn no one expected. Because while Alysa was dominating on ice, there was another force dominating an entirely different world. Taylor Swift. A name that had already transcended music. A career built not just on songs, but on storytelling, connection, and an almost unmatched understanding of human emotion. But what most people didn't see behind the headlines was the pressure, the expectations, the constant need to evolve and still remain the same person millions fell in love with. So when these two stories, one from the ice, one from the stage, finally crossed paths, it felt almost inevitable. Backstage at the iHeartRadio Music Awards, there was a quiet tension in the air. Cameras, producers, celebrities, all moving fast. But when Alysa Liu stepped into position to present Artist of the Year, something shifted. Because this wasn't just a presenter reading from a teleprompter. This was an athlete who had lived through pressure, doubt, and comeback, speaking to an artist who had done the same. And when Alysa said Taylor Swift's name, the room exploded. But what happened next is what people are still talking about. That moment, the hug, the smiles, the unspoken respect, it didn't feel scripted. It felt real. Almost like two completely different journeys recognizing each other. And then came Taylor's words. Not just a thank you, but a message. She talked about passion, about growth, about allowing yourself to change even when the world expects you not to. And suddenly, it wasn't just an acceptance speech. It became something deeper, a reminder that success isn't just about winning, it's about evolving. And maybe that's why this moment hit so hard online. Because people didn't just see a singer and an athlete. They saw themselves. The pressure to succeed, the fear of stepping away, the courage it takes to come back. So here's the real question. Was this just an award show moment? Or was it a glimpse into something bigger happening in culture right now? A shift where boundaries between industries are disappearing, and what truly matters is the story behind the success. Because if Alysa Liu represents fearless reinvention and Taylor Swift represents emotional evolution, then what happens when those two forces meet again? And more importantly, who's next? If this moment proved anything, it's that the biggest stories aren't always planned. They happen when worlds collide. So what did you feel watching this moment? Was it just another award or something more? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more powerful stories like this, the moments behind the fame, the truth behind the headlines, make sure you subscribe to Celeb World Insight, because the next story might be even bigger.